It's about 15 to 2. Had a really rough night with my neuromuscular disorder, and I did not rest. So yeah, I look like I'm wiped out. Also, I have my kitchen windows open for my plants, so I look translucent. I have had the weirdest last couple of days. You know, when you get to watch society fail right before your eyes, it's just so interesting. Hey, Hillbilly, I've had the most interesting last couple of days, and it's been because of this Ryan Upchurch crap. And it's so funny. Like, it's just, it shouldn't be happening. But I guess since Miss Patty shut down all of her stuff, apparently when my face pops up, there's enough similarities that people now think I'm Miss Patty. And so when I go live, I get people jumping on and saying horrible things to me and telling me awful. My mods are really great at catching them when they're on, but telling me how horrible I am and how I've stole from him and how I should burn in hell. And I'm just like, if you didn't take 5 seconds to figure out context clues, who are you in real life and how do you really behave? Because that's sad, y'all. That is sad. Hi, Irish. Yeah, it's been really weird. And so they caught a lot of it. Actually, you can go back and watch me. I addressed one of the girls in one of the other videos. And I've had one actually track me down on another social media platform and attack me. And I'm like, y'all, I'm not Miss Patty. I'm not Miss Patty. I mean, number one, how could you get us mixed up? She's literally a third my size. But oh gosh, Iris. Okay, see, this is what I'm saying. When you watch society fail right before your eyes, you really lose all the desire to try to fix things. Because you're like, what am I working for? Why am I trying to help? You know, they will come to this page, and I am not talking about the family members. I'm talking about the psychology behind, the emotions behind, how they may choose to heal, how they may not, behavioral patterns to look for. And if you're experiencing something like this, these are things that can help you and your family. And I'm trying to make this an educational experience because Ryan is being very brave about putting this out there, you know, because most people would want to keep this private. But he's being very brave and putting this out there and saying, hey, y'all learn from my complete screwed up mess. And I'm like, okay, that's brave. Okay, let's talk about it. Because communication is really lacking in this time. And so I'm trying, so I'm trying to just like, okay, let's talk about this. And I'm not damning anyone, which seems to be the biggest beef that everybody has. I'm not ready to just like damn anyone. Well, y'all, I don't know all the parameters of what's going on in that world. I can see certain patterns and pick up on certain things, but do I know 100% of what? No. How would I? I do have a little bit more of a trained eye from my time counseling and my time working in law enforcement, and I pick up on certain things and certain body language. And, you know, I don't mind to talk about that, but, you know, it's an open discussion, and this is something that could provide healing or awareness for a lot of families that are like on the cusp of having one of these issues. And people would rather shut down any kind of communication because they believe their one thought that they have about the celebrity is the only thought. And then if you talk about it in any way other than their one thought, you're a disrespectful, dysfunctional piece of shit. But then I'm like, I'm not the one going online and threatening people. So who is really dysfunctional? But the biggest beef when they find out that I'm not Miss Patty is that I will not condemn Miss Patty. That's not my power. That's not my job. I'm neither a judge nor Jesus. It's like, why are you asking me, why are you so mad that I will not condemn this woman? That's not my job. I mean, like, seriously, what would me saying anything like that help? What would help them feel better? And so we've got a whole group of people just writing their emotions and being very, very mean through this entire thing. Let me tell you what, I'm hard nosed. Like, I supervise murders and crap. I've been called everything but a white girl. But if just a tenth of the anger has been sent to me that's been sent to Miss Patty, I can only imagine how she feels. And I don't think it's right, because you can be upset with someone and you can be emotionally like, I'm disgusted in your behavior. I think what you did to your son was inappropriate. I think you took advantage of his trust and you put yourself in your financial position to take advantage of his trust. And you can be upset about that. That's fine. But to take like 10 minutes of your world and time to then, send death threats and really long, horrible messages to people, it's just like, in the scheme of things, you're mad because somebody wasn't good to someone else, but here you are not being good to someone else. So round and round the maypole we go, and nothing ever changes. Because if we try to talk about why we're having these behaviors, they want to shut down the conversation because they only want to talk about the hate. And it's like, there's so much more to this than hate. So much more to this. This started out as probably a whole miscommunication, mistrust, and then it just snowballed. And now it's this huge thing that's taken up all over the internet. It's just amazing. Hi, Nikki. It's just amazing how absolutely disrespectful people will be to a complete stranger who they don't understand. And they will watch 30 seconds of one video when I've done literally like a month on this behavior that I've been concerned about. And then they will just tell me I have no business talking about this and I'm trash because I'm talking about Ryan's life. No one's messaging Ryan and saying you're a piece of trash for putting your family on display. No, you just come to me. How about you go tell him that? I think he's brave for doing this, because most families would want to hide this. I think he's brave to say, here, look at this. This happens in a lot of scenarios like the one I'm in. This happens in smaller built families as well. This is a huge issue. Learn from what I'm going through. That's brave. Now, would I want to do it myself? No, probably not. No. And that's why I'm super respectful when I try to talk about it, because there are a lot of lessons that a lot of families can learn from watching this and going, oh, crap, we have that problem. Oh, crap. And they become aware and they start to talk and they stop things that could snowball and tear their families apart. And but no one can understand that. No one can understand that. They're just stuck on this disrespect. You're disrespecting Ryan. Okay, well, Ryan said that my words were thoughtfulness. So it's like, and he knows that anytime if I put something up that he thinks needs to be removed, he just has to tell me to remove it, and I'll remove it. I mean, I'll do it. I don't think most families would want to put it on the internet, and I would think that some of the people's behavior would prompt him to kind of pull back. I really think it should. I think at this point he should at least address some of these behaviors that are super wrong. With people taking it to this level where it's just super inappropriate. And then when you want to talk about idiots, there's still people going to Johnny Gobble and watching Johnny Gobble. And by the way, he's back to wanting to box Ryan. Round and round the maypole we go. These people know one dance, one trick, and people just give them thousands of views and thousands of moments of their life. But someone comes on and says, hey, let's talk about the psychology behind this and how to not end up here, how to salvage your family if you're having these issues, how to seek help if you're experiencing this. And holy heck, I'm Satan, which honestly I think I'd look cute with horns, but that's beside the point. But you look at it, people. Look at what you're propagating online. Look at the behavior that you are giving energy to. Look at the status quo that you are creating for the internet. I don't either, Hillbilly. I don't either. I mean, he's a one-trick pony. He's a one-trick pony. And when that interview that he did with that one dude, he stated he took money from Miss Patty. So should he not be part of the problem? No. But this little woman that has had a whole career in trying to help people and is trying to help families say, hey, if you're experiencing this is a great way to look at this psychologically and not end up here. And people are just mad at me because I won't come on here and condemn people. Well, I would have watched this if you would have at least told her how wrong she was. I'm not the judge and jury. I'm not the judge and jury. I can just look at this from certain angles and express the emotions and the thinking patterns, the behavioral patterns behind it, and give you ideas of how to cope if you're going through something like this or you have, an issue like this in your family. And I really want, if there's one family that can be helped to not end up here, then hey, that's great. That's absolutely great. And I think Ryan would say, yeah, that would be great too. But I also think Ryan needs to look at the harm that's being done. And I don't think Creek Squad is a cult, but I think there are some very bad people in Creek Squad that do not understand what the basis is that we used to stand for. The family momentum, the caring about others. It's very strange to watch a lot of the behavior that I'm witnessing. And I know that Ryan's engagement is probably 99.9% positive, but if he were to go and look at what some of these other pages are getting hit with, or like people that just see a round face with brown hair and think I'm Miss Patty for some god-awful reason, I'm not 3 times her size, hello, then he might, take a minute and say, hey, y'all, you're taking it a little too far. While I'm glad that you're concerned and that you're picking up on this and hopefully your families will not ever have to go through this, you also should not be interjecting yourself, in criminal ways by issuing death threats or, stuff like that. And it's just sad. It's sad to think that we've got a whole generation of people that are willing to issue death threats. But if you try to talk about the psychology of a behavior so that you don't have to experience it yourself and you can help your family maneuver around an obstacle like this, you're evil. Because hate sells and trauma and tension, that gets views. But someone that says, hey, let's be calm and talk about this, I get like nothing. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah, here, Billy, that's the best way to put it. Well, the meaning behind it about 5 years ago used to be the family of fans of Ron Upchurch that got together and we would talk about vehicles, pets, families. If a Creek Squad family had a death in the family and they couldn't afford a funeral, we would all band together and send money and help a family. If there was a sick family member, we would all band together and do a fundraiser, or we would help forward pages of kids in like Make-A-Wish or sick children or people, so that Ryan would see fans that he potentially might want to meet before, before they, bless their hearts, their illness got them. And it was just a much more positive. They used to have a buddy program where if you had a bad day, you had a buddy, and your buddy checked in on you. And if you were struggling with anything, you would have a buddy that would check in on you twice a day and hold each other accountable and say, how you doing? Are you doing okay today? Are you having a bad day? Is there anything I can do to help you and brighten your day? It used to be just such a positive, happy group of people. And we were like little ambassadors to share, this wonderful music and this bright mind that we were so, enamored with. And now it's like I've got on the tilt-a-whirl of Hades and I can't get off the ride. And it's just like I'm trying to take a bad situation and try to help at least some families find some kind of grace in this, some kind of aid in this, so that, I hate to see trauma not used for education. If they're going to put it out there, use it for education. And I think, Ryan's being brave, but at this point, Ryan, is it bravery or is it time to say, hey, something, this is my problem, I have to deal with it. Y'all can talk about it, but you don't need to be attacking people. And you go to the pages where people are literally talking trash about people, like damning people to hell and calling them horrible names. And people are just as sweet as molasses in the comments. But you go to like a page like me where we're trying to say, okay, this is a pattern of behavior you can look for. If you're seeing this, start communicating with your family member. This may be occurring. Or if you're having this type of cyclical behavior, talk to somebody because that's indicative of this. And they're like, you're a horrible, evil person. And I'm like, and most of them come on and they're just like, well, you just need to be on our side and hate Patty. Why? It's no. And then I said on one side, they said, well, whose side are you on? I'm on the educational perspective of this, and I'm not on a side. I think that Ryan and his attorneys and his team can take care of this, and that my only good thing I can do is break down the psyche behind it so maybe other families don't end up there. And, I don't think that my punishment, is going to have any weight. That should come from a bench with a judge on it. And I told one person, I said, I side with the law. If somebody broke the law, then they need to be held accountable. And then they're like, oh, so you hate Ryan. How in the crap do you get that from that? I mean, it's like, whoa. How can you talk to the family? Well, if you go to court, you're going to have to talk to him. If he prosecutes anybody, which I don't know if he will or not, it's up to him, he'll have to talk to him. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, but, there was a lot of criminal things that did occur. So if he chooses to charge or go after anybody, if he goes to court, he'll have to talk to him. I mean, these are all grown up things that you have to learn to do. You have to learn to communicate beyond your emotions. That's how you function in an adult society. And it's strange to me that we have so many people that will follow their emotions right off a cliff and then get mad at somebody because they hit the bottom. And I'm sitting here going, do you see the cliff? You're walking to the cliff. You're following your emotions to the cliff. Logic and rational, they're over here. And then they fall down the cliff. And then they go, oh, you're so horrible. Yeah, I told you the cliff was there. I'm a horrible person. Oh, no, their lawyers will not talk for each party. They will be deposed. And they will be put in mediation. And they will have to communicate. Retired parole officer, I have spent more time in court in the last 2 decades than anywhere else in my life. And I've prosecuted more warrants than probably half of the state of Tennessee. So, I know what I'm talking about. and I also did counseling, and there will be a family side to this as well. And they're going to the court. If this goes to any kind of court scenario, there will be a mediation. The court will attempt to get mediation in there. The court always tries to go for that first, because if they can have an amicable agreement about how to handle this, then it may result in not having to have a whole criminal blowout. Now, is he going to do that? I don't know. But you should always be able to talk past your emotions and hold yourself into a state of decorum where you can handle yourself even when your emotions are falling apart. You should be able to put on a face and John Wayne it through there and hold yourself accountable. I mean, it's just good policy when you're an adult in a world where you must live with millions of other human beings to be able to say, emotions, shut up for a minute. You're not doing me any good. I have to get through this. And what I'm seeing in the last couple of generations are just people that are led by their emotions. And people that are led by their emotions have more criminogenic behaviors and patterns. They end up spending more time in prison. They have less successful relationships. Go read the stats on this. They're just less stable. And I'm sitting here trying to say, hey, here's a great way to be aware of something that can help benefit you your entire life. And it's like, whew, there wasn't a crime. Because I guarantee you, above a certain level of money that is being written off, it will require double signature on the account. And he would have to have approved a purchase above a certain level. And then a transition of a title out of his name. Yeah, there was criminality all over that. Yeah, there are things you can't do without signatures and people being aware. So yeah, there was some stuff going on there that was criminal. You know, whether he wants to prosecute it, that's his business. But I'm just saying, it is a great thing to learn how to communicate. Power of attorney he is not incapacitated. So if she is an accountant or a bookkeeper and has a specific power, there are limitations to that power. So normally any purchases above a certain amount require an authorization. That's why he gets, like now he's getting notices on his phone to approve and decline. These are things that he should have been doing a long time ago because there are controls set in place to financially protect him. I don't know why he wasn't doing it earlier. I don't know why he wasn't keeping a closer eye on his money. I have no idea. That's a question y'all can go ask him. But yes, if things were bought above a certain amount, even with her being in that position, it should require a second and possibly even a third signature, depending on how his financial team is built up. And then if something had to be transferred out of his name, he has to sign it physically. So how is all this happening? Illegally. I know it busts some of y'all's bubbles, to have to live in the real world for 5 minutes, but, and it's so funny that y'all will come here and get stuck on those minute details when I'm sitting here and trying to say, hey, when you start to see patterns of behavior like this or red flags like this or cyclical patterns where you see multiple relationships and there's a pattern to it every time and you feel like your loved one is stuck in this Ferris wheel, speak up. It's a red flag. Communicate. Love someone enough to say, I see something that concerns me. Let's go have a discussion. And, I'm screaming here, do something out of love for someone who may be struggling. And y'all get stuck on the most minute, finite details. And it's like, okay, go read TCA code. Go read real estate law. I took a ton of real estate law classes. Go read real estate law. Go educate yourself. If you want to fuss about those logistics, then find somebody to fuss about those logistics with. But it's just so negative when people just pop in. And you're sitting here and trying to send out this message of, if you're struggling in this way and you see something that mirrors you and you're concerned, take this action, seek professional help, learn to communicate more effectively with your family. And it was like, that was like the most evil thing I could say. But people are wishing people to hell, sending death threats, and just attacking random people. And oh, they're fine because they're on the right team. I didn't know we had teams. I thought this was something that happened in Ryan Upchurch's life, where he must personally and legally take care of it. And he's being brave enough to say, learn from my squabbles here. And it's just like, whew. I do know Ryan. I have spoken with Ryan. And he's always been very supportive of my videos, and he likes that I speak the truth and I kind of talk about the psych behind stuff. And so I'm trying to just like, hey, if your family is showing some of these warning signs, this is a brave guy that's trying to say, communicate, talk about it. And if you can benefit from learning something, do it. So let's have some psych rambles about this. Let's talk about this from a retired parole officer and counselor who dealt with everyone that was in every kind of crisis mode. Let's talk about this. And then it's just like, wow, the hate. I mean, it's just eternally sad that the first emotion people are going toward is hate. And it's a defense mechanism. I get it. You don't know how to react, so you put up your defense mechanism and you get angry. But that's what I'm saying. Our society has got to learn to talk, communicate beyond the emotion you're stuck at for those 5 minutes. Emotions are not like eternal things. You just visit them. And you can talk to yourself and change the one you're visiting. So if you're angry and you're a place where you don't need to be angry, you can do a self-check-in and talk yourself down into a better emotion so that you can complete your day and attack your day. And I'm not saying anyone with the skills to do that. And I'm sitting here going, has social media ruined generations so much that they can't internalize what they're going through, have a check-in and go, okay, I'm in a place where I need to display myself appropriately, and this emotion and this defense mechanism and this level of ire is not appropriate and could potentially cause me problems, and I need to do a self-check-in and calm down and be able to press through my day like an adult. And it's just like, I mean, it's like, come on, people, come on. No, Irish defense mechanism isn't death threats. I'm saying that the people that jump on here and want to throw hate when I'm speaking, it's their defense mechanism. They're confused. They don't know how to respond, so they immediately go to hate because that's their defense mechanism. Now, if they choose to send a death threat, that is what I would call a very unadvisable action that could cause them a lot of grief. And I would advise against ever spinning nasty words anywhere to anyone on the internet and putting them, especially putting them in messages and sending them off. While the internet is still very difficult to police, there are certain things that can be policed, and death threats are those things. And if you are in one state and you send it to someone else in another state, well, guess what? That's going to be a federal issue now. And it's just like, be aware of these things, control yourself, understand that what he is going through, you don't also have to go through. You don't have to ride the ride with him. You can be a spectator. You can learn from it. But you don't have to do the loop-de-loops and the screams with him. And I don't think he wants anyone to go through this with him. I think he's trying to be honest and say, look, even celebrities have problems. But it's being taken to this super unhealthy level. And it is just it's very sad. It's very sad that we have such a generation of people that feel so detached socially that they think they just see somebody and think, I can just attack you and it's okay because you're in this box and I don't think you're a real person. And it's like, no, we've trained our society that whoever's in here is not real. And we can treat them however we want to. And none of the rules apply. And it's just like, no, you should handle yourself as though you're speaking to someone face to face at all times. But I would always advise, you need to have physical contact with people. You need to have interpersonal relationships. You need to have a bond with people. You need to sit around tables and talk to people. You need to have a group of support friends that hold you accountable, where you toss ideas around. And sometimes yours may not be the best one and you listen to someone else. We've lost that as a society. We've lost it. And so we've got a lot of people that are just angry and they hit an emotion and they run with it. They don't do any self check-ins. They don't do any self accountability. They don't hold themselves accountable for anything they do. They just feel like they can run on a rampage, create whatever wake of destruction they want to, and then it's okay as long as they have enough people also doing the same thing. And it's like, okay, let's not do that. Nikki, I think he's brave. Like there's several ways to view this, and everyone's way to view it is valid. You know, like if you are a family that you like, I wouldn't put that on the internet. I'm one of those families too. I'm trying to look at Ryan, and even though I would not put this on the internet, I'm trying to say, okay, he's brave. He's trying to say celebrities have these issues too. Regular families have these issues too. If you're seeing some of this stuff, you need to be careful as well. Learn from my mistakes. Don't experience this, you know, like I've had to. I think that's great. You know, and while I'm not going to like personally talk and pick people apart and damn them, I will talk about the overall experiences, behavioral patterns, and like what is potentially psychologically going on that creates these culminations of problems in families. And people get so upset, and because what they come here to hear, they don't want me to say that I'm damning someone and someone deserves, you know, such and such. That's not my job. And do we live in a society where we think we're, you know, we grab the pitchforks and fire and we have no rules? We're not a nation of law and order anymore. We just run on emotion. Are we there? Have we been there for a while? I mean, look at social media. What dictates social media? Mostly hate or defense. It's not really happy channels. It's not really, you know, nobody's watching the puppy and kitty videos anymore. Everybody's watching these big controversial, you have to choose a side and then you have to go against the other side. And it's like, everything's a wedge issue within our society today. And people, they're like, wedge issue, what's that? It's a wedge issue. Because when you have a society of like-minded people, if you can throw something in there that splits them apart, guess who gets more control? The people up top. So the more wedge issues we have that keep us apart and keep us from communicating, the more power our overlords keep over us. And so communication is the only way that this nation is going to heal. It's the only way that our families are going to come back together. It's the only way that the people are going to get respect from the politicians and the gurus upstairs that think they own everything. And here we're having a small, minute celebrity issue, and we have a massive emotional breakdown amongst literally 90% of the fan base. And it's like, it's time to talk about this. It's time to talk about, hey, good people do bad things and bad people do good things. And it surprises the crap out of us sometimes. But every person is flawed and capable of a whole lot of behaviors you would not ever believe. Take it from somebody that worked in law enforcement for so many years. And so, you know, people can take every action responsible. The only person that you can control is yourself and the environment that you get to dictate. Whatever you rent, own, whatever piece of land you own, that's it. That's all you get to control is you and your little environment that you own. Take special care of how you present yourself and how you interact with others, because that is how you build your character and the way that you will handle life and handle boundaries and speed bumps that come at you. And if you learn how to put your emotions down and speak as an adult ahead of them and be appropriate, then you're going to have a much smoother path. You can still have all those emotions. You just learn not to act on them. And you learn a more graceful way to handle issues and to process speed bumps. And you don't feel like you're led by the nose by your emotions, because emotions and emotionally triggering people are the easiest way to control mass numbers of society. And so when I see these big emotional issues in the news, I'm like, well, people, chill. They want you to go there. They want you to experience that emotion, because when you're emotional, you are easily controlled. When you are fear-based, you will make the wrong decision every time. Go read some stats. Go read some reviews on some research studies on fear-based decision-making and criminogenic mentality, and it will blow your mind. Okay, there is a method to how all of this works in your brain, in your body, to culminate into an emotional outburst or a verbal outburst. And there are avenues and derailments and stop signs and caution flags within yourself that you can trigger to slow down that process so that you do not act out, embarrass yourself, put yourself in a bad place because you said something that could have been taken as a criminal intent or malicious intent. You know, there's a lot of ways to slow yourself down. And one of the best ways is to say, before I respond, I need to count to 5. I need to think of 3 ways that this could be used against me. I need to think if I would want my grandmother to read this. You know, there are all these accountability things that you can kind of go through. And if you think no to one of them, then don't do it. Say, I really want to respond to this person, but I believe it will be very inappropriate. I need to give it 12 hours and calm down. Put it in writing so that you can more eloquently state your case without having the emotions spiral through your fingers automatically. Try to find a way to bring it down so that communication is the key component instead of the emotion, because the emotion will steer you into the wrong way almost every time. What are the things that got 99.9% of the people on my caseloads? Because I supervised every felony level there was, and interstate compact and sex offenders. What was the thing that got all of them into trouble? Emotional inconsistency and bad decision making. I taught cognitive behavioral therapy to inmates for years. So I'm trying to bestow a little bit of just calm communication and be aware. And, you know, and it's sad. And it's not just on YouTube. It's not just about this particular problem, only this has really been an amplified issue. It is happening everywhere within our society. That hate is the new, hate is the new, it's the new monetary compensation. People prefer hate, tension, trauma more than they prefer cash. They'll even make videos to create those things, to get demonetized, to draw in more subs, because it feeds that. And it's like, whoa, whoa. And then people will pay to join those channels to see those very vitriolic and nasty videos, you know, the ones that are behind the paywall. People will pay for that. And then these people that are creating this drama and hate and nastiness, they're like, I'm making something that people will pay for. I'm awesome. Well, I pay for toilet paper, and what do I do with it? This is a very great learning tool about how you respond, how you can be triggered, how you can retrain yourself to respond appropriately, how you can learn to communicate and voice your concern and voice your opinion respectfully, and ask that others do the same. You know, and this is just such a great learning field. And this is a great opportunity that Ryan's given us. No one seeing is an opportunity. You have to pick a side, and then you have to go after the other side. And if you're not picking a side and you're not throwing hate, you're not doing the right thing. Whew, I do not wish those emotions or those feelings or those vibes on anyone, and I don't want to see anyone else's family fall apart. And I think the people that are going through this, even though they're brave enough to share it, and he's putting on a very brave, bold face, I think it's hurting him immensely. And I take no joy in this. And so if I can talk about things for 5 minutes and help people understand what's going on in here behind this and how to stop it, then that's great. You can hate me for it all you want to, but maybe I'm helping someone else. But it may be time to do a self-check-in about, what am I using more in my day? Am I using my eyes, my ears, my mouth, my heart, my brain, my ass? Pick one. Check in every day about 5 times. What emotion am I in? What emotion do I stay in? If you're frustrated, angry, sad, do about 30 days. Check in about every 4 hours. See where you are. Then go back and read for that month. Where do I spend most of my time in what emotion? See if it surprises you. You may be angry more than you think, and then you're like, what am I angry about? Now it's time to break it down and see what's triggering you. Gee, the times that I seem to be angry are between 12 and 5. What am I doing between 12 and 5? Oh, that's my break. Between school and before I go to work that night, that's when I spend most of my time on the internet. Hey, we found a trigger. You know, it's time to start breaking things down and building ourselves into better human beings. Nobody can fix you but you. I can try to help. I can say, oh, caution flag, red flag, foul on the field, but unless you want to absorb it and apply it, that's all I can do. And I hope that there are hundreds of families that listen to what I've been talking about and have started communicating with their loved ones and are going to stop before they hit a huge issue like Ryan's having to go through. Because no one should have to go through this. This is just, it's scarring. Even if you have all the skills and you handle it perfectly, it's still scarring because there's still the trauma, the betrayal trauma, the grief, and then you have to retrain yourself to social cues that you missed because of the trauma. This is going to be a long, extensive, corrective learning, healing for him. It's not a rage mob, flash mob, in 5 minutes it's going to be over, so you better get in there and get your chunk of meat. No, this for him is going to take years to mentally process. And so we need to slow down. And while we can watch him on this ride, we do not have to sit beside him and feel everything with him. That is very unhealthy. That's very unhealthy. He's in so much pain. And I've been worried about him for a while. I felt something was off, and I was like, what is off kilter? Why is he off lately? Because the last time he picked my brain was about the Kylie Rodney case, and then he went radio silent, which was very strange, because normally we banter back and forth in the comments a lot. And I was concerned. And he's always been very supportive about, yes, talk about things like this, get it out there. And so that's what I'm doing. And he knows if he messages me and says, take that one down, it's gone. That's who I am. But he's been very supportive. And I think he knows that he's being brave and trying to help people. I'm also going to try to use this to help people. If that's what he wants to do, I'm going to also try to do that as well. But we can't do it if we're all rage hating. We have to pump the brakes. We got to downshift. I've had ups and downs with my parents too. I had a huge issue with my parents and a huge legal issue. And it took me 8 years to rebuild the foundation of trust in a new relationship with my parents. And now I'm blessed beyond measure because I did it. Blessed beyond measure. But at the time, it was something that I had to pull away from and really recenter and recalculate how I fit into that and how I wanted them to fit into my world. And it took a lot of work. And so for everybody just kind of hate raging and sending all this hate energy out there, that's not a positive thing. Because right now there's so much pain that adding more onto it is just fueling the fire. If we can look at things and say, hey, he's being brave enough to share this. If you're seeing these red flags in your family, talk to your loved ones, start to communicate. If you're feeling these super high emotions because of this, learn to do self-check-ins, learn to do emotional check-ins, learn to calm yourself down. And it's try to find a positive from this rather than just run with the hate and the mob. Try to understand the psychology, the behavioral patterns, the emotional healing that's going to have to take place, and understand it from a place of compassion and love rather than just wanting to be up in the business. Because if this can be useful to help someone else's family not experience this, Ryan, I'm sure, would be very happy about that. If he's brave enough to share it, that's great. But I will not personally condemn anyone. I will not personally attack anyone. And I will talk about the behavioral patterns and psychology. And if he does something I'm proud about, I will say I'm proud. Like he was out of his amygdala, out of the fight or flight response. He was grounded the other day. And I was so proud of him to see him level-headed and centered and grounded again. And I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you for getting out of that fight or flight response. Because nobody was saying these things. They were just sending him all this, you should do this, or you should, and it was like, I'm proud of you for getting out of that headspace, because now you're in a much better headspace. So yeah, betrayal trauma is really harder than dealing with the death. It's very difficult to deal with. It's one of the reasons that most people seek out therapeutic intervention, because betrayal never comes from a stranger. It's always from someone you thought you loved, right? That's why it hurts so much. So, and then because you miscalculated someone, you start to think, have I miscalculated everybody? And then you think, am I miscalculating my own self? And it kind of obliterates where you feel that you stand on a solid foundation. It's gone. So he's doing a lot of restructuring, and we've got to be supportive. And hopefully if he's being brave enough to say, hey, look at this, we can talk about the psychology and the red flags and say, let's help another family not have to go through this. Let's help another family not have to go through this. But if you're coming here to ask me to say, I hate somebody, no, I will not say I hate anybody. Well, no, I don't like psychobabble rap. I don't like that man. But I will not say that I hate anyone that's involved in this. I will not condemn anyone to hell. I will not damn anyone to hell, and I will not send nasty messages. It's not what I roll with. It's not how I do. I will say that if someone broke a criminal law, then they should be held accountable if he chooses to prosecute, and that's completely up to him. And if that angers you, what world do you live in? It's just like what you know. Because as a society, we have these boundaries, rules, and laws there for issues like this so that we don't have these giant mob pitchfork and fire issues. So he has avenues of recourse. He can choose however he wants to deal with this. I just hope that by people being aware and seeing all this hate, that they start to understand, oh my gosh, we have gotten really negative. And while he's trying to show us something that we can use to benefit our families and to amp up communication and to say, look, nobody's perfect, I'm more concerned about just pinpointing my hate on one specific person when that energy could be used to benefit your family by talking to them for those 5 minutes you were going to spend to type that nasty text. Talk to your family for 5 minutes. Ask your parents if they've ever had issues like this. Ask them, hey, what would you do in this scenario? How would our family cope? Open up that box. Learn about the people you love and live with. Set up boundaries and precautionary statements, like keywords in case something like this is happening, and somebody sees it. Like, if you ever see me getting out of line, here's the password, and that'll make me think. Like my daughter, if I ever corrected her at the age of 14 to 16, she would get very mad at me. Like if I ever said, please don't do that. That's inappropriate. Think about your behavior and try again. She would get very mad at me. And what we found out was in the moment, she had so much hormonal rage going on that if she were to respond at that moment to me, it was going to be inappropriate. So I had a dog clicker. And when she did something that terribly pissed me off, I'd click it and then I'd mark the time and I'd write down what she did. And at the, and in the evening, I'd give her the 2 or 3 things during the day that occurred that I thought we needed to talk about. And she had calmed down by the end, and she'd be like, yeah, well, I was mad at my friend because they had sent me this email and they're going to pull out of the school project. And now I'm going to do, 35% more of the work. And I was frustrated. And then when you asked me to help with dinner, it frustrated me more. And I took it out on you. And I understand I shouldn't have done that. But in the moment, it would have turned into a big kaboom. You can learn ways to communicate. Get out of the box. Look at other people's struggles and say, hey, let me learn from that. You're glad I said I didn't have a shock collar. We needed that giggle. Yeah, trying means that you've got a lot of love and dedication and honest, integrity with people that love you enough to really put themselves out there to try. To reestablish everything that they think about themselves and their entire family and put that puzzle back together again. That's a big deal. So if you've got one of those families, love them. And if you've not, you can get there. It starts just by talking. Simple communication. Shock the parents doing better. There are some parents that actually are more of the problem. I had a lot of kids, and I had a lot of foster children also in therapy, that just given a better personality match with a better foster parent that had a better personality match, that child would have flourished more. So sometimes, parents are the problem. Yeah, sometimes parents are the problem. Parents need to learn too. We're just antique children. We're still learning too. I'm 45 and I'm learning every day. Well, I'm fixing to be 45 and I'm learning every day. I still read as though I'm still doing my graduate studies, because I'm still learning about the world around me. You should never stop learning about the world around you or ways to improve the world around you. Go outside for 5 minutes and ask yourself about the situation. Yep. What's triggering you? Yep. And why are we here? Why am I visiting this emotion? Why is this my go-to? What do I want my go-to to be? And yeah, it's really a lot about internalizing, reflecting, and really getting in touch with your core of how you have trained yourself to respond. You can retrain yourself. It's very easy to retrain yourself. Fly on your wall, yes. I agree. So, a lot of people are, they're in their big emotions about, all of this that's going on. And I understand, because there are a lot of very young fans, and so they don't understand how to really control all of those waves of emotions yet. But the older fans and the older Creek Squad, we need to be really role modeling really appropriate skills, coping mechanisms, behavior, communication right now, because it's very important that we don't let this hate turn into the new norm for this family that we have, because Creek Squad is a family, and it's a very wonderful family when we're all on the same page and we have a positive goal. And there's been so much good accomplished by Creek Squad. I don't want to see all the good undone by this hiccup. And in the long scheme of things, when Ryan is old and looking back on his legendary career, this will be a hiccup. It will be a momentary hiccup. Right now, it feels like the Great Wall of China, but it will be a momentary hiccup. So please just look at it as though, yeah, it feels like a lot right now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. He's going to get through it. And if he's willing to share and say, learn from this, then let's learn. And let's not be upset when people are talking about, let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's be better humans. Let's integrate with our families more, and let's have more discussion, and let's be kinder to people, and let's look for red flags instead of just wanting to hate people. Let's care enough to say, hey, I've noticed that you've had this problem 3 times this month. Can I help you? Because a lot of times no one in our, like, one of the biggest things that bothered me, because I did teen counseling for a long time, and I did group counseling, and what they would always interject is that no one ever asked them, can I help you? Can you imagine going through 16, 18 years of your life and having no one say, can I help you? How can I help you? Are you having a bad day? How can I help you? Just the smallest thing can change someone's entire day. And that's why I'm so upset that all this hate is coming out, because hate is not a small thing. Hate's a big thing. So if the smallest thing can change someone's day, this hate can change someone's life. It can augment somebody's whole view on the world and society. It can really trip up a lot of young people that are living through this, that are not emotionally capable of understanding and composting what's going on. So we've got to get out there and role model better ways to adapt and overcome. So when you come here and you want to be hateful, it just tells me that you're not really committed to understanding what is actually trying to be done here. Because I am in no way like on a side, like if something was done that's illegal, then they deserve to be held accountable, and whoever was harmed in the process, I hope they heal. That's who I am. That's who I am. But because I have been a parole officer and I've been a counselor, I've helped people on both sides of the fence. I've helped the people that have done bad things, and I've helped the people that have been hurt by the people that have done bad things. So I've helped both sides. And guess what I found out? People on both sides of the fence, once they deal with whatever occurred, whatever screwed them up to make them have those behaviors, and they learn who they are, and they learn about better decision making, and they get in touch with themselves, both of those people have the exact same capability of becoming awesome people. So while there's a lot of condemnation right now, we don't know what's going to happen 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, because people learn, grow, change, reevaluate, reestablish, reconfigure. And so I'm just not willing to throw out hate. I look good today. Well, thank you. I've got my kitchen window open. I'm trying to get some sunshine. So God doesn't like an ugly heart. And honestly, that's one of my biggest things is why society has gravitated toward ugliness and really ugly behaviors when there's no need. There's no need. And I think it's because we're losing our interpersonal connectivity with each other. We're forgetting that energy swap that we need to get from people. And we're forgetting how good a hug feels, how good a handshake feels, how good just being in a group of happy people feels. And we need to remember that because all it seems like everybody's doing is rage mobbing. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here too, Fly on Your Wall. I had a really bad night last night with my neuromuscular disorder. I have something that's very much like MS, and last night was a very bad night for me. So I read a lot last night and just thought, and I thought, man, it's like, if you've got a favorite Afghan that somebody crocheted, if you just pull one thread, you can destroy the whole thing. That took hours and hours to create. And it's like society is just continually pulling that one thread when all we have to do is just learn how to knit and put it back together. And I'm just like, let's work on putting it back together. Pocahontas, I do think he overshares. I do. I do think he overshares. Because like I said, I would not necessarily share this. And if I did share it, I wouldn't share certain very intimate details. I would share like the skeleton of it so people, people can be aware of what's going on. And, but I can't make his choices, but I can say, let's look at this and let's all work. Let's work to do better. So that's what I'm going to try to do is, try to use it to be positive and hopefully we can. Barbie, I had a really bad night last night too. I don't know if it was like the full moon or something screwing with my body, but I had a really bad night last night. Oh, thank you. I call them Lizisms. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Oh, bless your heart. Your body's just fighting you. I had to have a hysterectomy at 30 due to my health issues. And I'm here to tell you, I thought it was going to be difficult. Dropping my transmission was the best thing I ever did. Of course, I had my 2 children early, so I already had my children. But I was terribly scared about it, and it turned out to be something that benefited me a lot. I struggled for about 3 years with a lot of those issues, though, before they decided to take it out. Yeah, Pocahontas, I really want him to, if I could tell Ryan anything, it would be, hey, you really need a professional group of people around you that you can kind of brain vomit on, that can give you good solid advice back so that you don't always go seeking the affirmations or the adulations or the support from Creek Squad, because there's a lot of Creek Squad. While there are some really solid people in Creek Squad, there's also a lot of young people that are just not ready for that. And so it kind of, it's kind of like the symbiotic relationship. If he's mad, they're mad. If he's happy, it's just like that shouldn't happen. We should have engagement when he puts out good music and he has good things to say. And, when life squabbles happen, we should be like, oh, praying for you, bud. But it seems like now the engagement is only up when he's having these huge life squabbles. It's like we're rewarding him for all this pain he's going through. And it's like so warped. So warped. It's just so warped. So I'm like, hey, just toss up a praying for you and don't get emotionally involved. And then if you can learn from this and apply it to your world and improve your family dynamic and improve your family communication, improve just the way that maybe you talk with your siblings, just one point taken from all these issues he's having and applied to your family, it's a win. It's a win. Because he's going to go through this anyway. If we can find a positive and help others, then that's a win. We should try to be getting wins out of this instead of just, composting and magnifying the negative. Yeah, brain vomit. Brain vomit's great. I brain vomit a lot here. Yeah, Barbie, I'll be praying for you, honey. I know it's difficult. Mine are 24 and 23. Rewarding bad behavior. I mean, it really screws you up, especially in the social media age when that engagement is probably 80% of the impulse adrenaline contact he gets in a day. Because even though he's famous, when you're famous, you're in a bubble. You can go anywhere, but you're in a bubble. He's really in kind of a little jail cell because he's got so many fans and he has to be so concerned about his safety that, yes, he has a little bit more freedom than most celebrities, but he's still limited because you have to be careful when you have this many fans. And so, sadly, a lot of his engagement does come from social media, and a lot of it is bass actors, and it rewards the wrong thing. And I worry about that. I have lots of brain farts. I'm so glad I had my kids young because I didn't know I was going to develop this disorder. And had I had my kids any later in life, I would have had such a difficult time getting them, into adulthood. Luckily, I had them right at adulthood when this really started hurting me and hospitalizing me and taking me kind of out of their world. I'd already prepared them and they were already kind of leaving the nest before I got really, really bad. So, but somebody the other night, like I said, one of the rudest comments I had, because I wasn't feeling well the other day when I was talking, but I was trying to make a point, and they were like, well, why don't you just shut up and go heal yourself instead of worrying about someone else? And I was like, terminal disorder. Say it with me. Terminal disorder. Dude, if I could snap my fingers and heal my body, I would have done 15 backflips and whatever it cost. I have a terminal disorder. And if you would, if it's people that say things like that, and it's like if you would watch, if you would get to know somebody before you respond in such an adrenaline, endorphin rush, serotonin dumping way, you would make more sense and understand, how outrageous you appear when you say things like that are just hate driven. It's like, okay, let me heal myself. It's like I have a terminal disorder, y'all. It's not going to be healed. I'm fighting to stay as healthy and as mobile as I can until my organs are shut down by this. That's what I'm doing. So it's just like, it's like, how road can you get? And I was like, I thought about just coming on here and like reading the hate comments just sarcastically. Because I know it's really warped, but because I have a really macabre sense of humor because I did supervise murders for a long time. I have a really macabre sense of humor. So when they send these things to me, I'm like, I'm like, no, and we really need to work on our grammar. Punctuation and grammar are so important. It can change the whole structure and meaning of a sentence. So that's my funniness about the people that are sending me the drags. Oh, the holy water. That would take away from my Joel Osteen fund. Oh goodness. But I've made peace with what I'm going through, and I'm lucky that I don't have as bad of a case, as severe of a case as a lot of people that have this disorder, which is called reflex sympathetic dystrophy. It's very much like MS. And I'm lucky that it's not gotten to my heart yet. It seems to be stuck in my digestive tract and my pancreas. So I'm doing better than most people. It is crippling me. It's taking my legs away from me. But I'm still not wheelchair bound. So I've got a lot to be thankful for. And then I run into perfectly healthy people that have perfectly healthy lives that are capable to go out and integrate into society and have long days and go out and have fun at night. And all they want to do is sit home on the internet and hate people. And I'm like, no, honey, you still have your life, your health, your body's functioning. Go out there and do positive things in this world because one day you may not be able to. And do you want to know what caused all of this for me? It was fine. When I worked as a wilderness boot camp counselor, I had a boy throw an axe at me. Horrible occupational hazards, I know. And it crushed the nerve bundle in my foot. I thought, I've been rolled over by horses, dragged through fences and barn walls by cattle. I mean, I grew up I was a farm girl. And I thought, that's not a big deal. It will heal. No, it ruined that nerve bundle, which ruined the nerve signals, which then diseased my entire central nervous, parasympathetic, and sympathetic nervous systems. And it blew my mind to learn about this. I wake up some mornings with like half of my body frozen and frozen muscle, and it like they lock. They don't work. If you go back in December, you'll see where my traps froze, my biceps and arms, and my jaws froze. And what I didn't know when I made that video and said I'll be gone for a while, I need a break, was that my lactic acid count was so high because of my muscles freezing and dumping lactic acid that my heart was being affected. I was that close to a massive heart attack. And so I made that right before I went to the doctor, and they were like, holy crap. And there I was in a massive health issue again. So, if you have your health, you have everything. Enjoy this life. Be kind to people. Do kind things. Make every day count, and don't drag the negativity down on you. It costs you so much physically, emotionally, mentally. It really just is toxic to the body. So if you have the ability to be positive and do things, go do them and be happy and create a happy life. And hopefully, if you're struggling, maybe you'll run across one of my videos where I'm helping give ideas to how to overcome things. That's all I'm trying to do. Oh, well, I've had a very rare and weird, wonderful, full of experiences life. So it's okay. Because I pushed myself very young, and got a lot of my accomplishments met at a very young age. So maybe that's why. Maybe the good Lord's like, better put the pedal to the metal while you can. So I've had a full life, and I've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can say they've done. And so I'm very satisfied with my life. And that satisfaction comes from a lot of keeping an account on how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, what I'm struggling with. And you will see me struggle on certain days, but overall I'm very satisfied with my life. And that consistency has helped my health more than anything. Just that emotional consistency and being able to just hold myself, not allow something else to really trigger me. That has helped my health more than anything. And so that's a big kicker for me, is like, don't tax your body with somebody else's worries. If you can't fix them, then that's just wasted energy, and it's just like, be good to yourself, be good to other people, and do all these things. You're at the park. It's a pretty day. It's windy here, so I was going to sit in the sun, but it's too windy. So, but that's all I wanted to say. I think David's going to try to do a couples chat this evening, because he's not done one. He's been working a lot. He's actually in the fur shed working right now. I think he's skinning a coyote or a bobcat. I don't know. He has put up a couple of new trapping episodes on his Trapper Dave Waters channel. If you enjoy that stuff, you can go watch that. But I think he's wanting to do a couples check and just say hi to everybody, because he's not been on in a few weeks. So maybe you'll see us again later tonight. But it'll probably be dark 30. Won't be early, it'll be late, because he's got a lot to get done today. I'm working on a new rattle, which is a bullhorn that's got an otter face wrapped around it, leather bound on a beaver chewed willow. And I've got jasper beads and bison column beads in there for the rattle. The Mount Juliet tribe is going to be having a powwow in May. And so I'm going to try to get this one made and passed off so they can be used in some of the ceremonies down there. That's my hope. So it looks really wicked weird right now because of that bullhorn and the otter pelt. But I'm going to do a lot of feather drops and beading. It's going to be a really pretty. And then I've got a ceremonial stick that I've got an antler to do. And I'm going to try to get both of those to the tribe by I think it's like the May 29th powwow. So I've got a lot of stuff I'm doing. Trapping with Cooter. Oh, you're funny. Honey, anytime that I sit down and I make them, sometimes I give them to the tribe for ceremonies, and sometimes David would be like, listen, I bought a whole bunch of stuff for the crafts. I need to sell something to get more craft money. And I'm like, well, here, you can have this. So you just have to see what he puts on his Etsy store. I've finally got to where he's like self-functioning. because my health has been so bad. So if he's got one on there and you want to grab it. But if you ever get to a spot where you want one, let me know. Like if you're prepared to, like you ready to buy one, let me know. But otherwise, just keep up on his Etsy store, which is Hillbilly Heart Decor. So, and he's fixing to put a bunch of garment quality pelts on. Yeah. So thank you, Fly. I appreciate that. My husband's a really great person. He looks plumb scary, but he's a really sweet man. You've been painting abstracts? I like to look at abstract art and see what I can find in it. We actually have another really good painter on this channel. Gypsy Girl's a really good painter. Gypsy Girl also has a brand new Etsy shop, and it's was it Gypsy Regina Art? Was that what it was? Oh, remind me. Gosh, did I get that backwards? She does beautiful watercolors. Oh my goodness, she does beautiful watercolors. It's gorgeous. I've got 4. I think I've got 4 or 5 of her artwork. Gypsy Gina art. That's it. And I would say go look at this. The pictures don't do it justice because the color variations and how subtle she can be with the transitions are amazing. And I got her on this Bigfoot kick because I always say my husband's so big and burly when he goes and he walks around the ponds to check his beaver traps. He looks like Bigfoot with his coveralls walking around because he's so big. And so I asked her to do a lot of like Bigfoot art, and she kind of got on a kick, and I really love them. I have 3. I have 3 framed on my wall with all of my taxidermy and stuff. And then I have some other options of her work, and she's just super talented. And so all my nurses that come, they're like, well, that's amazing work. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, I did not know she was this. I said, yeah, paint me something. And then I got this portrait. Well, then you need, Iris, you need to go check out that store. You've got to go check it out because they're great. They're great. So I've got to make more coyote tooth jewelry and stuff because I've gifted or like added into boxes when Dave's had an order. I will sneak, if I pack an order, if he gets an Etsy order and he's like, can you pack this for me tonight? I sneak stuff in there. So I send extra, and I normally send like pieces of jewelry or little gnomes or something. I send extra. And so I need to make more because those are like my little thank yous. And so I've made David turn into a raccoon and Cody dentist again. So he's been getting teeth for me from everything he's been catching. And so I'm about to make another bunch of resin set and wire wrapped art. So jewelry art. So, but I'm right now I'm back on my native kick because I know they've got those powwows coming up, and I know I need to get these ceremonial sticks done. But when I need a break from this, I will try to do the resin art. I just need a really steady hand day for that. So, and when I do that, I normally go live and do that in front of y'all so y'all can watch me make stuff. So normally I'm crafting. I'm not normally as much of a psycho person now, unless I see something I can really try to impact a lot of people with. Normally I'm just the old woman farting around crafting with glue gun. But as you know, I control the world with this thing. So yeah, I'm trying to branch out with my native stuff, and I've got about 4 dream catchers done. That I was stuck in bed for all those weeks after that heart issue, and I would put all my stuff around me and weave while I was propped up in bed. So I've got 4 or 5 dream catchers that I've woven, and I need to put the feather drops on them and the decorations and stuff. I use everything natural, and I use the dyed wax jute and bison bone beads and water buffalo horn beads and actual jawbones and teeth and stuff. And I think I'm going to let David have a couple of those because he ordered me a lot of twine, and it's expensive. And I did a bunch of weaving for a couple weeks. So I'm probably going to let him put some of those on Etsy in the next week or 2. So, and they're made out of willow and they're all natural. And I mean, yeah, they'll be on Etsy. They'll probably be on there probably by next week. It'll be the Hillbilly Heart Decor. That's my husband's Etsy store. So, he does spend a lot of money. And I do this because it's physical therapy for my hands. Because I had a Parkinsonian tremor several years ago that I've almost gotten completely gone now. And so I do a lot of crafting to maintain the strength in my hands. And I have a lot of physical therapy that I do. But my art is the best physical therapy, my doctor says. So I keep weaving and I keep doing stuff. And so when my husband has to dump a bunch of money into my craft supplies, I'm like, okay, here, you can have that and sell that as payment. I'm sorry, I'm so expensive. I'm expensive to upkeep. But Gypsy is like, she's painted in a professional manner for the state of Kentucky. So I did not know what to anticipate. And then when I got this beautiful piece of artwork, I was just like, whoa, honey, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I wish we lived, we're about 45 minutes an hour away from each other. I wish we were closer. So we would be at each other's house every day if we were closer. Oh, well, thank you. I like to craft. I like to do stuff, and I like to send little blessings to people. And so that's my big thing. I did my first like puzzle piece, 3-piece interwoven dream catcher the other day for a young lady's 19th birthday. And I put ermine and rabbit fur on it with ornamental turkey and eastern wild turkey feathers on it. And I put a coyote jawbone on it. And then, of course, the beads and the bones and stuff and the teeth. And sent it home with her mom that visited the other day for her 19th birthday. And she was just in love. And it was like the biggest one that I've tackled. It's the first multi-piece one that I've tackled. I was very, very, very proud of myself. Yeah, that peacock arrow quilt was a labor of love. And that's a doozy. It's a large king. It's beautiful. It's been too ugly of weather to put it on my line here to take pictures. But it's beautiful, and it's very muted, so it looks like an ombre where it changes. But it's got indigo, navy, maroon, and then a paisley on top of a billowy cloud, beige, copper rust background, and it just pops. And it's brighter than what it shows in the pictures because my house was so dark that night when I took the photos. If I get a beautiful day where the wind will not keep it vertical like on the line or horizontal on the line, I'll take it out and take better photos. But it's beautiful, and I just had it professionally batted, backed, and bonded, and so it's ready to roll. And that took me I'd actually pieced that when I was working for the state and doing my master's. And I mean, I'd forgotten I had it because I had buried it because my mother gave me a horrible quilting habit. And I had initially made it for my daughter, and she was like, it's too hot. It's too hot. And it's a beautiful quilt. My daughter is just eternally picky. And I had put it in one of my cedar chests, and I absolutely forgot I had it. And it does not go with any of my color things. And I took it out, and it had a different backing on it. It had the fleece backing on it. I didn't like that, so I sent it to my quilt lady, and I had the backing removed, and she put new batting, backing, and binding, and so it's basically brand new, ready to roll. I mean, I searched for the specific fabrics for that for so many months. I can't tell you how many Joann's fabrics and Hobby Lobbies and just hole-in-the-wall craft places I went looking for fabric. I just drove myself nutty because I had it. It was patterned after my friend's peacock tail. I wanted that effect in the star. And then stars are eternally irritating for me. So the fact that I did a broken star arrow quilt, it's just like, wow, because you will not see me do many stars. Oh, you like to draw? I think art is like one of the best therapies, art and music. So I'm all about art and music. Yeah, I love those little hole in the wall, like where you can go in and get the vintage fabrics and stuff. And I'm really lucky that my family hoards fabric. So I actually had fabrics from my great grandma. And I made a beautiful non-patch quilt for a friend for over Christmas. And she loved it because she loves like those time vault quilts as well. And it felt like when I made it, it felt like I was in my great grandma's house. And I sent it to her, and I was hoping she would have the same pickup vibe, and she did. She loves it, and she's like, "This is exactly what I." She's like, "This is exactly what I wanted." So, oh, I hear Dave coming in. He's probably wanting to eat. So I'm gonna check off, and then we might pop in later, depending on how he's doing. I don't know how far he's gotten today. So I'm gonna find me something to nibble on. Okay, everybody, I'll check in with you later. Thanks for chit chatting. Go be good to people now. Bye, guys.